Greetings, YouTube! You have warped way back into the WGS Arcade. We're back with more Time Tenshi. Rose and Q here went through the time window, and as you guys can kind of see, they have some very noticeable changes, especially around the boobs. But anyway, they're in mid-18th century because apparently the hackers, Chrontek, that stole the technology, time travel technology, are at it again. So let's go ahead and see what... excuse me, as to what's going on. Honestly, I don't see what those metalheads think they can achieve. How do you stop an entire war from happening? I don't know. They're so weird like that, but I guess we should start looking. The duo walked across the open field, seeing a band of warriors in the distance. Let's hope we don't bump into whatever's going on over there. Who cares? We're invisible to them, remember? Yeah, but I always feel so naked in this. Honestly, I don't know why you refused the petition I made that we should actually go in naked. Well, let me answer that for you, Kyo. Because I would get completely thrown off YouTube. That's why. 'Cause we didn't know for sure that they couldn't see us, Kyo. Also, I'd rather not travel through time in the buff. Thank you very much. I wouldn't mind, but Michelle advised against it. I said it before. I love you, Kyo. You're great. You're great. That explains why your outfit is skippier than mine. And also why it stretches better when we grow. Hee hee. Yeah, well, enough boob talk. Can we get back to work? Where are those Chrontek freaks? Look who finally made it. Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Holy shit, isn't she from like Dead or Alive? Like, isn't she like the ninja? Like Hayashi, I think? I might be saying the wrong name. So nice to see you two dopes again. Come to try to foil the plan as usual. And what are you getting at now, Mizuki? Where's Bunny? Doing your dirty work while you talk trash? I'm right behind you, you airhead. Okay. If this game wasn't fan service before, it is now. Her fucking name is Bunny. And she's in a fucking bunny outfit. They couldn't have gotten more creative than that. Gosh, and I thought we hadn't gotten curvier. If you got it, flaunt it, right, Mizuki? That's right, my dear bunny. Now then, if you two would kindly buzz off, we have some work to do. Haha, you're right. No, the whole point of us coming here was to stop you from doing whatever you're trying to do. Oh, good luck. It's gonna take us a while, and the longer we're here, the bigger you two get. I mean, that applies to you guys, too. Well, the big difference here is that we enjoy every minute of it. Yeah, well, you're not gonna stay here much longer. Rose drew her sword. Ah, yes, the oh-so-scary sword. How terrifying. I continued watching from the monitor, seeing the scene play out one bit at a time. I noticed Kyo pulled out a feather duster. I wasn't sure from where, but she had one. Where did she have that thing? She swiftly flicked it, a whip stretching from the tip, becoming as long as she was tall. It seemed to crackle with some sort of energy. You better back off and go back to the time you came from. My, your powers of intimidation know no bounds. While Mizuki tended to have a very flat tone in her voice, I could sense the sarcasm all the way through the screen. They stared at each other down, Mizuki pulling out some weapons of her own, throwing stars, and other weapons that could have been owned by the ninjas I had seen on TV. The silence seemed to hang before they all lunged at each other. Rose was a graceful sight, twirling around as Bunny went for a high kick, her stiletto heeled, just missing the eloquent knight's face. Rose's cheek jostled around with her rhythm, and I could tell Michelle shot me a look that said, "You better behave yourself now." Kyo stayed stationary, cracking her whip towards Mizuki, who unleashed her own series of weapons. They flew past her, and I watched as a ninja star went straight towards Kyo. She bent backwards far enough to avoid injury, but not far enough to prevent the shuriken from whisking between her cleavage and coming to a comfortable stop, much to her embarrassment. She stopped the ninja star with her boobs. I could see her face quickly turn a burning pink color as she dug deep to retrieve it, before retaliating by swinging her whip above her head and thrusting it at Mizuki's hand. It managed to latch onto her, and as soon as it did, Kyo squeezed the base of the duster, sending a jolt of electricity forward towards the kunoichi. It managed to connect, Mizuki shrieking and shaking before seemingly falling apart. Her clothes seemed to disappear first, and all I could do was watch as the stark naked girl dissolved into nothingness. I felt a knock against my head, Michelle reminding me that she was indeed right next to me. Enjoying the show, perv? Hey, look, it's not my fault that their clothes conveniently fall off first. I mean, yeah, fair enough. That's all she had to say before turning back to the monitor to watch. I turned my attention over to Rose, who was struggling against Bunny. While Mizuki had seemed quick, she had been felled by a slight misstep. However, the taller girl seemed to be putting up a much stronger fight. Her legs were swift, and kept Rose moving quickly every second, dodging and weaving through the flurry of kicks and knee jabs that were being sent her way. Eventually, Bunny got a hit in. As she did, Kyo came up behind her, materializing what looked like a tea tray. It's not really the time for tea. Watch and learn, kid. The tray launched from her hand and began to glow a bright blue color, whirling quicker and quicker as it got closer to Bunny. Unfortunately, Bunny took notice before it got much closer and quickly lunged her heel to deflect the tray. It was then that I realized that the tray was a distraction for Rose, who had gotten back up from being knocked to the ground. Rose swiftly took her sword and plowed it into Bunny harshly. Bunny gasped, stopping with her leg still cocked up in the air. Before anything else could happen, her clothes, like Mizuki, suddenly fell to pieces. She didn't seem to mind somehow. I could hear her chuckle. A nasty grin sprawled across her face. Don't get too big for your britches, girls. Believe it or not, we accomplished what we needed to do here before you could interfere. But I do hope we can meet again. She was cut off as her form disintegrated suddenly, falling into dust. Both Kyo and Rose seemed exhausted. Michelle sighed, brushing her long hair from her face. Alright, Kenji, go to your room. What? Why? Do you really need to ask that from how Rose was yesterday? Now go to your room and don't come out until tomorrow. And why should I? Kenji, listen to Michelle. Trust me, when you don't, bad things tend to happen. I couldn't believe this. Even my grandfather sounded intimidated by Michelle. I huffed, turned towards the hall, and going into my room. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens next time, Michelle. I wouldn't want to piss off Michelle. An hour or so passed as I laid on my bed, thinking to myself and staring at the ceiling. Even after having a day to let it all sink in, these new things happening, these new concepts and ideas, they still made no sense. And they still frighten me. If people could go back in time now, then they could likely change things for the better. But from watching movies and reading stories, I knew about time travel, time paradoxes, and the butterfly effect. It wasn't at all that easy. I thought about my parents. about my home burning down in front of me. I thought, if I could go back and stop that from happening, would it be the right thing to do? If I did that, then I'd have my family again. But then I wouldn't have never known about my grandfather's lab, or met the girls. But in that case, I would have never gone back in time and stopped the fire. Ah, my brain hurts! Just as I said that, I heard a knocking on my door. Come in? The door slid open, revealing Michelle on the other side. I swiftly sat up, looking at her stern face, and she looked at me through the doorway. Is it alright to enter? Yeah, of course, have a seat. I offered her a chair as she sat softly on it. She sighed, then looked up at me. Thank you, Kenji. She was silent for a moment, and the confusion slowly hit me. For what, Michelle? For leaving when I asked. I know how tempting it must be for a grown man as yourself to just leave two girls with exaggerated figures and heightened desires alone. So I commend you for your restraint. I could feel warmth rush to my face as I rubbed the back of my head bashfully. Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, it's only polite. Yes, you're right, and I truly appreciate it. So in return, next time, you may feel free to visit either of the girls on their downtime. Just give them some time to recover from the effects of the time window first. Wait, so I needed permission to see them all of a sudden? Well, I suppose not, but I assumed you knew that they could be a bit much when under the influence of said effects. But you're proving yourself to be mature enough. She stood, her short meeting seemingly over, before turning back towards me and giving me a steely gaze. But I swear, you try and take advantage of those girls behind my back. She made the threatening gesture of running her finger across her neck in a slicing motion. You won't be in the lab much longer, kid. An awkward silence hung in the air for a minute before her mood suddenly flipped to cheery, giving me a big smile before swinging my door back open. Sleep well, Kenji. And with that, she left Michelle, still mystified me with her behavior, but I shrugged it off before sinking back into my bed and nodding off to sleep. I awoke groggily and stepped out into the hallway, and before we do anything else, guys and gals, we're going to go ahead and call it an episode, and when we come back to the arcade, we're going to see what happens next to Kenji. So with that being said, I am your friendly neighborhood Wrestlegamer, and I will see you at the next Warp Zone. Bye, guys! She's a dirty, dirty name. Let's just say about my finances, I don't have like $300 to where the fuck am I supposed to go?